This is my laptop, it's not a phone. What are you talking about?
We'll be kicking off with Boba guys here in a minute, but I do notice, Chef Bill, you're wearing your phenomenally Asian shirt. I do want to say I appreciate that you got the Asia Pac Force flag going on.
Yeah, I want to wear it as an ally to the community right now, especially with everything that's going on. There's kind of a lot of terrible things happening, and a lot of racism happening, and I kind of want to show my support and be there for everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And, we're joined by Andrew and Ben from the Boba guys as well, along with Selena from Asia Pac Force. So, by way of introduction, hi everyone, I'm Brian Chan. And Selena, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Hi, and I'm Selena Ma. We're from Asia Pac Force San Francisco's leadership team. Welcome to Asia Pac Force in South Asia Force's collaborative event, Don't Spill the Tea, Boba at Home. We're proud to continue the partnership with South Asia Force for Champion Month, also known as Asian Pacific and South Asian Heritage Month. In honor of this very special month, we've decided what better way to celebrate our culture than host a Boba making demo with Salesforce San Francisco's very own Boba guys.
We have you joining from all over the United States, so I'd like to give a little extra background to those who are unfamiliar with Boba guys. They're a Boba company that was established in 2011, right here in San Francisco, and has since expanded to California's Greater Bay Area, Los Angeles, New York, and there's some word that you guys may be looking to expand elsewhere as well, and we're all looking forward to continuing that development. But they've developed a fast cult following, which has led to the opening of 17 stores across the United States metropolitan areas. We chose to feature Boba guys as they've become trailblazers in the Boba world, producing the highest quality of strength, featuring premium loose leaf tea, organic milk, and house-made syrup. I'll be your moderator today alongside Salesforce. We'll begin with a Boba making demo led by Boba Guys co-founder Andrew Chow, followed by a Q&A featuring both founders, Ben and Andrew. Before I'd like to begin, I would like to remind everyone to submit any photos or videos of you and your housemates repping your Salesforce flag while making today's drink of your finished product via the original event chatter post, and then also post in our Google Drive folder that was included in the invite for this event as well. And then we'll also be collecting any questions that you guys may have live as well in the Asia Pac Force global chatter group. So, we've got a lot of really good questions, a lot of things that we're going to dive into here today. But if there's anything that you want to ask the Boba guys, please post that out in the chatter. We'll be monitoring it, and we'll try to work that in. So with that, Andrew, Chef Bill, how are you guys both doing today?
Where's the ingredients?
I'm great. Great to be doing this event. That's my first time making Boba.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm glad. You're much more have much more skills than me, so I think you're gonna find it super easy, super simple. And for those at home who are also making it, we broke down the recipes in the book so that anybody can make it at home. So as Gusteau in Ratatouille says, anyone can cook, but anyone can also be a barista.
Great. So you just released your book. I just got a copy of it. I think it's pretty amazing.
Thanks.
It tells a really great story, one that I'm not super familiar with, which is the first generation kids of Asian immigrants, and then how do you fit into this like how are you fitting into America, and kind of one foot in America, one foot in Asia. I got a child on the table.
You sure?
But I think it's a really cool story to see how you guys found your place, and how you kind of helped other people find their place by creating the Boba guy shops. Do you want to speak a little to that at all?
Yeah. I think high level. Especially you're a chef, and for Salesforce, you guys are a massive global company, is that, you know, everything that we're doing is all about culture, and food is, I would hate to be biased, but it's probably one of the biggest gateways to culture. And so when, you know, Starbucks, who runs, you know, kind of is known for coffee and synonymous with coffee, or Blue Bottle, when they kind of start really going into Asia, which is generally what you call a continent of tea, they're kind of infusing the coffee culture into that continent. And I would say we're trying to do the same thing going the other way, where boba, if you go anywhere in the United States, as Brian said, you know, it's an international thing. Over 1 billion people drink milk tea or some form of it, or desserts like the tapioca, every day. Every day, billions, you know, consume it. But in America, it's, you know, we're a young country. We're just learning kind of how to infuse that part of our culture, just like we're learning how to, you know, eat, you know, certain other ethnic cuisines for the first time, like Latin cuisine or other, you know, types of Asian stuff. You know, boba is Taiwanese, but you know, the Asian diaspora, as we'll probably talk about, is much broader than that. Just Taiwanese and Chinese. There's South Asians, Southeast Asians, so there's a lot. Pacific Islanders.
Yeah. What inspired you guys to start Boba Guys?
You know, this is a very, I'm not sure how much of Salesforce is in the Bay Area, but, and Ben, when he comes on, he'll talk to you, because Ben almost came and worked for you guys, before Boba Guys really took off, that we just wanted to change culture. We saw Blue Bottle and Phil's Coffee, you know, if you're from the Bay, you know, or California, you know, Blue Bottle and Phil's Coffee were doing really well, and they're homegrown, we're from the Bay Area. So I remember going to the Ferry Building Blue Bottle, and I was like, wow, this is really good stuff. I actually, you guys didn't know, but I was having like my own New Orleans style coffee before we went on the air, so I need caffeine. And I was, you know, always intrigued, and Ben too. Ben is actually more of a coffee file than I am. And then we're like, why can't we do a version of that for boba? And how can we make boba and maybe Asian cuisine, I say less stigmatized? You know, it's funny, 2011, 2010 when we came up with the idea, 2011 is when we launched. Who knew we'd come full circle, which I'm not gonna talk too much about, where you have the same stigma for Asian food. But 10 years ago, we were like, you know, people said Asian food was not clean or is not transparent. You don't know what goes into it. Yeah, it's a whole separate bag of worms. But today is about boba. So that's really how we started. And we've been very lucky that we've gotten this far.
Yeah.
Did you show lunch? No?
There's obviously a lot of boba shops around, especially in the Bay Area. I'm sure, especially any large Asian communities. What did you guys do to differentiate yourselves as you started working on this product?
Yeah. You know, boba, like many ethnic foods, I'm sure you know, you're chef, so you probably know where the origin of most ingredients in food is that most, you know, if you come from kind of in the American sense, an outside ethnic world, not like hamburgers and hot dogs that people talk about all the time, we knew that boba to kind of repack, it just needed a way to repackage. It was kind of like, why did, it's like music, right? Like, how come Taylor Swift, who was a country artist, how'd she start making pop music? Or Kanye, who's kind of taking old soul and beats, like Ray Charles, and these kind of like Nina Simone stuff. How is he making that relevant today? And I think, you know, there's a lot of haters, of course, for Taylor Swift and Kanye, so maybe it's not a good comparison. But, you know, a lot of people say that about us. People were like, you know, the old boba shops like Quickly and Tapioca Express, which I grew up on, so there's no hate there. When we talk about it in our book, they're like the first generation. But just like any part of culture, whether it's food, music, fashion, it then evolves. And we just became part of, I would say, the leaders of this new evolution where, you know, as people who grew up with boba, like many people like you guys, you said you grew up with it, you knew what it was, you just never made it at home, but we all grew up with it. How did that become more normalized? And as you grow up, you want things that are more maybe on the healthier or, you know, certain packaging you like. You know, with Instagram, like we probably also made Boba Guys a little more Instagrammable than other boba shops. And I think that helped. So the layering that you see, we kind of made that popular in kind of the drink world.
Yeah, your drinks are totally visually awesome. Like they're really cool to look at. They're really like they're stunning, right? It's like, and I think that Instagram probably is a great platform for you to like push that. And I think you're right about kind of the way sort of dishes evolve or cultures evolve. And then like I do, it's one of my favorite things about music is kind of learning how, you know, like I'm really into punk music and sort of heavy metal and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You look back on that and see where did that evolution start, and how did it get to where it is today, and like, and then I'm constantly kind of discovering some other band that influenced it along the way that we've been talking about. You know, it's like that sort of like I love that sort of stuff. So I love seeing that with food as well. I've always wanted to actually do sort of a family tree of certain dishes.
Yeah.
And like be like, where did they start? How did they evolve? Who added what to it? So I love like that sort of evolution and things like this. And I think
Do you watch Ugly Delicious? That's like my favorite show.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's like a great one where you took like fried chicken or pizza or and you do that. Or there's another one by Chris Yang from Lucky Peach, old editor. He wrote a book called We All Eat the Same, and it talks about how Russian dumplings or Italian tradition and Chinese, Asian tradition all have a version of a dumpling. How do you connect that?
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I think you guys have really opened up this like I've been looking at your book and I'm like it's super creative and it's almost like suddenly like there's no limits and you can kind of take Boba anywhere. And I think that's super exciting.
I hope. Thanks. We're trying. I mean, the book is doing really well. We were supposed to be on a media tour as we speak, actually, and we're supposed to like teach like morning shows and late night television in America how to make boba. But the good news is, as I told Brian and Selena when we were preparing, you guys are our guinea pigs. Ben and I have never been together and done cooking recipes. We were supposed to practice before COVID happened, and we're supposed to do our book tour in April. But obviously that got canceled in like February. So this is actually good practice. When we go on our book tour in the summer, and we got like 5 minutes to teach, Jimmy Fallon how to make boba, I think that will be, I'll remember, I was like, man, I remember when I kind of like screwed it up with Bill and commercial.
Well, we're happy to be the guinea pigs because it's fun. I think it's fun for all of us. What inspired you guys to use an Annie for your logo? How many versions did you go through before you got to where you wanted to do it?
Oh yeah, well these are all good questions. Ben should come in on this one. Ben is my co-founder. I'm sure you know he has something. Yeah, the aardvark.
Oh, the aardvark. Yeah, a lot of people, we used to keep it really vague in the beginning. People would be like, hey, what's that anteater? What's that armadillo? It's actually an aardvark to clear it up. It's our spirit animal. It has a built-in straw. When I was drawing it, we didn't want to have like a logo with just our two faces, and so it has a built-in straw, and it also has no intellectual property attached to it. So we ended up with market. So that's how we ended up with the aardvark.
That's cool. So you drew it?
Yeah. We drew it in 2000. Actually, before the company started, in 2010.
Okay.
We knew the company name was Boba Guys. We just didn't know how to visualize. Maybe some people just use just text, right? Like it could just be Boba Guys and this text, or I think, did you have like a version that it was two guys? Like, halal guys or five guys or, nasty gal, guys, gals, people. But I don't know if any of that worked for us. So when I saw, I didn't even know, I remember asking, I haven't talked about this too much in person with him, but I don't even know how we reacted. When he showed me the aardvark, I kind of was just stunned. I was like, an aardvark? Why an aardvark? And so he actually had to convince me that an aardvark was our animal. And then it fit. Yeah.
It's approachable. You're not quite sure what country it's from. It's actually a good analogy for boba. A lot of people don't know, and so it just makes it really accessible. And if you look at our stores, we blew it up really huge on the wall, and so that kind of became our signature. And this was when Instagram was just blowing up, and people were starting to take selfies with the logo. And so I feel like we're one of the early brands that really like shouted from the rooftops with our logo.
Yeah, we love technology, so I think we're pretty early adopters. Some people know we're really active on TikTok now and Instagram. So, yeah.
Oh, I heard a rumor that you guys you interviewed at Salesforce.
I knew this was gonna come. Oh yeah, it was a question posed by Dan Darcy, I think the SVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny that you bring that up. I hadn't thought about it in a long time, and I told Andrew, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember." So yeah, it was at the basically the tail end of our pop up of Boba Guys. So we started as a pop up inside of a ramen restaurant. You know, we were never supposed to do this. We are both corporate guys. We've been in the corporate world for a really long time. Andrew's been at Walmart and Target. I've been at ad agencies. You know, this was never our thing to create a company, especially a Boba company. And so we were at kind of a crossroads of choosing, like, do we continue our corporate track, maybe try to become like Dan, like SVP one day, or we pursue Boba? And I literally was interviewing with Salesforce, got an offer while I was doing the tail end of the pop-up. And I told Andrew, I was like, this is going to be awkward, but I just got a job offer from Salesforce. I really like them. I love their values. We came from Timbuktu, and so we really share these really strong values. I love the Ohana values of Salesforce, and it was a really tough decision for me. I was really intrigued by the opportunity, and it was, if I recall, it was like a creative director job that would essentially unite all the different disparate, because I'm a designer by trade, all the different digital products that Salesforce was doing under one design language, and so it was really interesting project, but I was like, no, I'm going to do Boba and maybe be penniless, and so that's essentially what I did. And everyone was studying, like here we are today.
Yeah, I will say I was a part of this, and I'm going to take some heat off Ben in case Dan, anybody says, well, like, he kind of, I don't say, like, jilted you guys. I was very, I don't say vocal, but I was saying, this is not even in our book, but I was like, Ben, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, you have a shot where we can probably create, I remember saying, possibly the next Blue Bottle, like, why don't we just try? It was a hobby, then turned success. So we were like, I also was going through my career because I went to grad school and I was a brand manager. I was climbing up the ranks in brand management. And I was like, I'm going to give this up too. So then, so it was a little bit of peer pressure. So yeah, he loves sales.
I don't think we feel jilted by you. I think everybody gets to enjoy your Boba, and I think, it often appears at our events and things like that. So I think everyone's happy with the way it turned out.
You guys would do it.
Yeah, you guys did the.
We start the demo, and
Yeah. So for those who have their Boba kits at home, I'm just gonna go through all the ingredients to make sure that everybody has it. Is that you guys actually, for those who don't know, I told Brian and Selena and Bill right before we came on, was you guys have a prototype of a Boba kit. So our new packaging, our supply chain is essentially broken. This is across America where a lot of things are getting delivered late and everything. So you guys have an early prototype, which is why when some of you guys, I think it's 10 of you guys posted when Santa Claus, or aka Brian Chan, the Asian Santa Claus, came by, he dropped them off and you guys were tagging us. Well, what you guys don't know on our side is it caused a bit of a ruckus because they were wondering how we sold Boba kits because it's been so, let's just say, rare. And so a lot of it has to do with our supply chain. So what's in your Boba kit is you should have the straw. You should have either pandan or kirimitsu, which is our house-made syrup. You should have your matcha. You should have some oat milk, oat leaf, or your dairy of choice, but you can send live, real dairy milk over distances. And then tapioca. So this is the tapioca that you guys have right here. So what we do is we basically assemble a boba milk tea drink, and just like in the book, we always say that boba milk tea is 4 parts. It's boba, milk, tea, and sugar. So, Bill, I'm not sure if you have everything in front of you, and you have a sous chef, so you can tell your sous chef to.
yeah, he's pretty ineffective.
Alright. So here's how we do. So the hard part is the tapioca. So I'm in my home kitchen right now. So I have the tapioca already, same stuff that you guys have at home. This is the tapioca, and I me and Bill, we already prepped it because it takes about an hour. If you see the instructions that we sent out, it's about a 30-minute boil and 30-minute sit. So before we prep this, we actually have that ready. 30-minute boil, 30-minute sit. Think of it like pasta. And you want it to, there's a term called QQ in Taiwanese language. It means equivalent to chewy, or in American, we would sometimes say, as in the Italian phrase, al dente. It's a little chewier than al dente pasta, but you're talking about a QQ ball. That's what you want. So, sorry, a little bit of cultural tutoring. And so the goal is to have that. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna reverse build a drink. So if you have a bill, you're gonna grab your vessel. So I have a mug, and then you're gonna put the boba at the bottom first. So scoop about a serving worth of boba, which is generally like the size of maybe a hockey puck.
How do you scoop it in there?
Gotta get it out.
We need the slides.
I'm Canadian, so the hockey puck analogy.
Oh, awesome! There we go. What's your team? Because I'm Maple Leafs. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm New Jersey Devils. I grew up in Morton, Bordeaux.
Wow, cool.
So you got your boba?
There's not enough. Oh, we
Right.
have to share.
Everybody have their boba. Bill, Chef Bill has his boba, and his sous chef.
You like
Great. So that's at the bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to, in the meantime, you're going to whisk some matcha. So we're going to teach you guys how to do a matcha kind of like style. So you're going to grab, in the recipe that you guys have, it should be about a heaping teaspoon of
Not you.
matcha. So you're going to take a heaping teaspoon of matcha. And you're going to put that into a matcha bowl. So a lot of people ask, what do you use as a matcha bowl? Anything with a curved edge. And I'm going to explain why you need a curved bowl at the bottom, a curved edge later. Because it's going to be how you use a matcha whisk. So I'm going to use a heaping teaspoon. I feel like a beauty blogger. I got my ring light right here. So this is my ring light. You can catch the light. This is a beauty blogger. So this is the... This is a heaping teaspoon of matcha. Okay. So you put that in the bowl, and then you're going to have 50 milliliters of hot water. For matcha, you don't want to burn it. Matcha is a green tea that's very sensitive. So you generally want it between just under boiling, maybe 180 to 200 degrees max. If it's boiling, it'll start cooking the tea, which you don't want. You're going to have 50 milliliters, but before you pour the 50 milliliters in, you want to make a paste. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make a matcha paste real quick. So if you guys are making this at home, we put a heaping teaspoon of matcha here, and then you have 50 milliliters of here's my hot water, 50 milliliters of water. So I'm going to do, what you want to do is you want to start by putting a little bit of, I put like 10 milliliters of water in the matcha, and then you want to make a paste. The reason why you do it, it's going to look like gravy almost, because you want it to get rid of the clumps. If you put too much water in there in the beginning, it'll actually make it'll be too watery, and then the clumps will kind of essentially stick because it'll go right through the whisk, the bamboo whisk, which is what you have, a traditional bamboo whisk. It'll go through the prongs of the bamboo. If you do it really well, and a lot of people ask what's the motion and how do you do it, a lot of people, I put my index finger into usually the stem, and then I grab the other two. Essentially like if you're Mandarin, it's like a malbi. It's like a calligraphy pen brush. You go like this, and you kind of use that motion. And then I go up and down. I go up and down. So that's the motion I do, and you get rid of all the clumps. So your paste should have no clumps. So when your paste has no clumps, then you dump the rest of your 50 milliliters in. So you have a total of 50 milliliters of water. So it becomes more of a true tea. They're very, very thick. I'm gonna explain why. We're gonna make an iced matcha, and with an iced matcha, you will need a lot of, well, you just need to account for dilution, which I'm sure as a chef you know. There's a lot of dilution that goes on when you use liquids. So we're making what you call a matcha concentrate right here, because we're gonna make a matcha latte.
Exactly how you make matcha ice cream.
Oh, really?
Make an ice cream base, and then I'd slowly thin it out into a paste, and make a paste, and then thin out a paste with the ice cream base.
All right, I gotta head over to your guys' calf one day.
Oh, this is interesting.
For those who don't know, I live right next to your new building too. So every time when Brian and I were talking about doing something with Salesforce, I was like, oh man, had we not had COVID, I would have loved to just come through. Because I see it outside my window every day.
Well, when we're back, we'd love to host you.
Yeah.
We maybe collaborate well.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna hit a size where we probably are gonna use Salesforce, ERP, and stuff. So I need the hookups. If you're on account team, hook us up, please. We're a small business. So this is the matcha. When you whisk it kind of perfectly, it has a little bit of foam at the top. But if you're a reformer, anybody work at Starbucks, it's called microfoam. You want to have microfoam at the top. Too much foam is going to make it like
You have zero foam.
too airy, but you want enough froth. Some people use a frother. You can do anything you want. The goal is to get some air and volume. So I'm going to set the matcha aside. So you're going to grab the boba again, and now we're going to start assembling the drink.
Yeah.
So you're going to grab the kirimitsu you have, and I have it in a bottle already because I use a bottle of kirimitsu. If you have a jar, you can use a spoon. You take about 1 tablespoon of the kirimitsu that you guys have. And what you're going to do is, we call it coating the glass. You're going to hold your glass like this, and this is a little of the art of being a bartender. When you coat a glass, you drop it so it hits the side, and then you start rotating it like that. And so it'll make it look like a lava effect. So like this. It's what we do at our stores, and if you watch our team really closely, this is what they get really good at. So you actually, because gravity is a straight line that goes down, your job is to turn the cup so that you coat the glass, so it creates like a lava flow effect on the side. As the kids say, it's more aesthetic. Aesthetics. All right. All right. So aesthetic 100. Here we go. I love caramel. You can also use caramel. Some people got caramel as well. Caramel, kirimitsu, condensed milk. You can do a lot of things. The goal is to sweeten it up with the kirimitsu. That was what the point of that. So you're adding about a teaspoon is about 10-25% sweet. If you want it more sweet, just add more sweetener, just to do it to taste. But do it every teaspoon, because teaspoon or tablespoon probably max. And then 2 tablespoons is about 50% sweet. So if you are wondering what we do in our stores, 2 tablespoons of the kirimitsu makes it half sweet. Okay. Oh yeah, Chef Bill looks great. Everybody else got that? Okay. Now you're gonna ice. You're gonna take about a half a cup or a full cup of ice, 8 ounces of ice. You're gonna have more ice than you would normally think. The reason is because you're gonna melt. You're gonna dilute it with a hot matcha. So you're gonna account for it. You're gonna have 8 ounces of ice, so that about 3 ounces is gonna actually melt when you put the matcha on top. So I'm gonna grab 8 ounces of ice.
8 ounces of ice.
How many cubes is 8 ounces?
It's like, I don't know what you mean, weight or volume. 8 ounces a cup, 1 cup of ice.
Just fill it up. It looks normal like that.
Yeah.
But for me, this is a pint mason jar. So then it essentially looks like it hits the brim. Yep. All right, Chef Bill got it. Okay, I see Brian's got it. All right, you guys are great. Great. And then now you're going to take your preferred milk. So we work with Oatly. There's a whole story that Boba Guys was essentially what brought oat milk to America. There's a crazy story where Ben Ness, the founders and the team, had a coffee festival 4 years ago or 3 years ago in LA. And Ben's like, yo, you should check out oat milk, because we were trying to replace soy milk, which is very watery, and a lot of people don't like soy anymore. So we're looking for a replacement, and he said, it's really big in Europe. And so long story short, we bought the last remaining pallet or the only pallet that Oatly had in America, because they were leaving the U.S. Nobody was carrying them. They tried for a year, it was not doing well, and we bought their entire inventory, and that's why the first 2 years in 2016, 17, well, a Boba shop, Boba Guys was the only company that had oat milk.
And I take a picture.
It was mainly because
Okay.
we became their distributor, which is a side story.
I didn't
Are
see.
you doing yours?
Chapter 3.
That is a phenomenally Asian story, because a lot of people think it's a coffee shop that made oat milk popular. It was a Boba shop.
Yeah, that's the worst.
So that's why we work with Oatly. They sponsor a lot of our stuff, including our tour. Thanks, Oatly. Hashtag not sponsored.
Did you just
Alright.
spill it out?
So here's what you do. When you put the oat milk in, you're gonna put about 5 ounces-ish of oat milk, and you really want to leave room at the top for your matcha. So you can see the stripes that you guys have, it also come from the tiramisu or caramel or condensed milk. Condensed milk, you can not really see it, but if you want to go for the aesthetic and do it for the gram, your coated tiramisu is what creates kind of like the wall layering, what you call tiger stripes. There's a thing called tiger black sugar drink. That's actually how you create it. It uses essentially a thick syrup. And then you take the matcha, and then you take the matcha and you pour it into the top. And there's a secret. You pour it and you hit the ice. You gotta hit the ice, because when you hit the ice, it'll create a layering effect. Because it means that the liquid will not pierce through the drink. So you hit the ice,
Oh yeah, his is way more liquid.
and you hit the ice on top, which is where it holds the density. They'll say layered. And that's actually how you create the layering effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a video of this part.
And that is, in this case, a sweetened iced matcha latte that you have at home with tiramisu, which is, our tiramisu is with agave, so it's actually very great low glycemic index sugar. It has some brown sugar to kind of create the brown sugar taste, but it's a great one. Yeah. And then I hope, cheers. Chef Bill, you and Sous Chef do? How'd you guys do?
I think we did well. I think it layered nicely, it's starting to slowly kind of
Yep.
go through.
If oh shoot, where's my straw? If I may, I think I'm gonna recommend that you guys carry Boba in Salesforce. That will bridge cultures a lot. Like, I don't think a major tech company has they've done it like as a catering, but I don't think they've regularly had it at their cafe.
I think you're right.
Oh.
We need to do other barista bars in the Ohio.
Yeah.
How often are you guys making the boba throughout the day? Is it like, does it get stale, so to speak, or does it get too
Yeah,
raw?
good question. The boba is like a starch. I'm not sure what you can compare it to in general cooking. It's like yucca root maybe. It's like it's starchy and it has a bounce to it, which is where you get the chewiness. So like many starches or root starches, it will get hardened when it's hot. When it's cold. And so boba lasts generally about 4 to 5 hours before Boba Guys we throw it out. The good news is Boba Guys is generally so busy we rarely make boba and it not last 5 hours. Usually we go through it in the first hour. But at the end of the day, sometimes we make too much, we throw it out. Or there's a hack. You can reheat it. Don't cook it. You actually would add water and microwave it. You can kind of you can kind of reinflate it.
Yeah. Okay. What's your ideation process like? Where do you look for new drink recipes?
But I can't.
Yeah. I think I love things like this. I'm a viewer like this, where I'm watching other people's cooking shows. I watch a lot of food media. I love going to people's restaurants, and I like ice cream shops, chocolate shops, candy stores, anything where they use a lot of experimental flavors. So I see Brian smiling. I feel like it's my dream. If you guys follow me or Ben's personal Instagram, before all of this happened, we travel a lot. So we go anywhere across the world. I went to Spain. I was there for 3 weeks last year, and I'm learning about Andalusia and the ingredients they use there. In food, everything is regionalized. So, or even not just regionalized. Sometimes by town, by city, that they use different ingredients. And so, I think we get inspiration from those places. I don't really look at our own industry. Like, where do you look when you guys come up with your recipes in Salesforce?
Yeah, I'm the same way. So I was mostly a pastry chef before I became the chef at Salesforce.
Oh, you're sweet. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so my background was mostly pastry, like ice cream and things like that. I was actually going to start my own ice cream business at one point. I was actually working on my own project when I got the email to ask, checking in to see if I'd be interested in working at Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I look sort of everywhere. I look as a pastry chef. As a pastry chef, I often look at the savory side of the kitchen more than than other pastry chefs. I think there's just more. I like looking for broader techniques and ideas, and filtering those back into my work. So I think I've always tried to do that. Like I've always been someone who's. A lot of my desserts had like more savory aspects to them.
Cool. I'm like jealous.
Good job,
I'm jealous of everyone at Salesforce. I can enjoy I do think the tech company's taking a lot of the food.
Good
down.
job, chef.
So I'm like a lot of my friends who work in a lot of these amazing kitchens. I'm like, hey, are you working? Like, can I come in and eat your lunch? And then and because it's generally all you can eat, I'm like grabbing all the desserts and trying to things.
Yeah, we try to do it differently. We have kind of smaller little boutique kitchens on the tops of our kind of main towers. And they're called Ohana floors, these floors. And so we have these smaller kitchens, and we do more like event-based cooking. We don't cook for the entire population.
Oh, that's good.
We encourage them to go out and, spend money at the local restaurants. Since we're sort of,
because Mark's super, that's great.
So but our program is more geared towards things like this, like employee engagement. We do a lot of things around, cookbook events, executive and customer dinners and support for the customers as well. But it's more sort of smaller, more intimate things. But we do a lot of fun things like this where we engage employees. Right now, since we're at home, we've actually turned to sort of like this, like a virtual department. We're trying to create our own office
I've been talking to Brian and Selena a lot in the last 3 weeks, and I hear some of the other guests. Do they know who's coming up? I don't know how do we follow some of these guys? One of them is like the guy I looked up to in food. Did you guys announce it yet?
Oh, next week?
Yeah.
We did announce it.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Yeah, Martin Yan. I'm like,
Yeah.
I grew up with him.
I'm like, yeah, that's insane. That's so awesome.
Oh,
So
shoot.
yeah, but that's sort of what we do. But yeah, it's a lot of fun with events and things. But yeah, that Mark Yan thing, this is all they're doing. It's amazing. These guys, the Asian Pack Force, are pulling all this together.
Cool. Yeah.
I got a question here about your Asian American upbringing. Did it instill any values or lessons that you apply to your business? Do you plan on instilling that into your own family in the future?
That was really good.
Yeah, we can both start answering these questions. Bill just asked about the Asian American values, API. So I'm going to start with it.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. We actually have a page of it dedicated to it in our book because so much of it is like a light memoir of kind of how we grew up, kind of as third culture kids. I was born in Taiwan, but I came to the U.S. when I was 2. And we both grew up I grew up in Texas. He grew up in New Jersey, so we were kind of the only Asian kids in our community for the longest time. But in Asia, there's this idea of suku, which is like eat the bitter. I think it literally means eat the bitter, and it's this idea that do the hard things first, and it's going to pay off in the long run. And so for Boba guys, we kind of try to, of all the Asian values, I think that was probably the most prevalent, is this idea of like kind of thinking of the big picture, thinking of the long game, and doing it slow but steady. It's how we've grown our followers, it's how we've grown our stores, and it's served us really well.
For me, generally the same thing, because Ben and I had a very similar background. I'm sure you've heard the term third culture. So as Ben said, the third culture, a lot of what we're doing is there's a larger kind of, not social theory term, but people call it code switching. Where some days I'm like, really like, I grew up in this part of New Jersey where you think of Jersey Shore, that's where I grew up. So I talk a little more quicker and a little more aggressively. I'm like an Italian, and I talk with my hands, because that's how I grew up for the first 12 years of my life. And I would do that, and then I'd go home, and my parents used to run a restaurant in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and it would be the exact opposite, like very quiet, stereotypical. And so I think as Boba Guys grew, we wanted to see, could we combine the upbringing that we came up with, this code switching. It's why Boba Guys is really hard to pin down. I'm not going to get too much into like what makes Boba Guys unique, because and we get that question a lot. Fundamentally, we're Boba, but we gave away our recipes in our first book, and hopefully we have a second book coming. You know, because the first book is doing really well without even a book tour. And you know, I remember pitching to Penguin Random House, who's our publisher, and they said, you know, it's actually, this is such a separate story. They came to us. We didn't even go to them, but we didn't know it. And they were like, don't you guys need a book? And I was like, well, we thought about it, but we don't even know how it started. So they gave us an offer before we had an agent. Long story short, though, we're like, well, it's a book, and we had to kind of outline it. We were like, at the end of the day, we can't say, oh, it's just Asian, or it's just American, or it's just Boba. That's why in the book we have a lot of coffee recipes, a lot of herbal recipes, because we wanted to, it was just very hard to find. And I think Americans, especially, as you know, in food, we're living between the margins. And some people think marginalized is a bad thing. And I'm like, well, sometimes it's a good thing. If you can use it to your advantage because you now are different. And you can, and all the people who are different now are essentially in the majority of culture now, where pop culture is pushing the diversity. They're pushing, you know, I say, is the world going to look more like Fast and the Furious, or is it going to look like Gattaca, one of my favorite movies, old Ethan Hawke, Jude Law movie. And I think at the end of the day, I think it's going to look a lot more like Fast and Furious. We're all versions of like Vin Diesel, Paul Walkers, and you know, Sun Kang, Gal Gadot. So I think that's what we think the world's going to look like. So then, how do we create recipes and fashion and culture in that vein, where everybody is both unique and have their own lane, but also bonded together by a common purpose.
Yeah, I see that throughout your book a lot. I see there's a ton of kind of you don't tie yourself to one thing. Like it's almost like creativity is almost like just a brand in a way. You know, it's like, that's just like almost like the open-mindedness to what it can be. Is sort of the brand itself. Speaking of which, we had sort of a question that falls in line with that. Our employees are in love with your product, are in love with your brand. What advice do you have for folks who are still in the process of finding and creating their personal brand?
Wow.
Or people who are interested in starting sort of a similar business?
There you go.
This guy teaches a class on personal brand. This is.
Wait, I'll talk about personal branding, and then Ben will talk about small business. High level personal branding. Here's the 101. Sorry, people know that if you look at my personal Instagram, I recently became a TikTok partner, so I'm technically
He's the oldest guy on TikTok.
I'm like the oldest guy on TikTok. Personal branding, just like a regular brand, you have to stand for something. So if you're a sales voice, you know, you have Ohana values, you have all these amazing things that people know. For a tech company, you guys are actually one of the what you call social role companies. It has to do with your founder. It has to do with Mark, who I definitely admire. And I think when we think about the way I am brand, you know, Ben is the Spock. He is the quiet one. He's a Steve Wozniak. I'm a little more of the vocal one, so I'm more like, I don't like Steve Jobs too much, but like Steve Jobs or Captain Kirk. But that's the brand. So when you walk into a room, roughly what do people say about you? What do they know about you? And you have to stand for something. Really bad brands stand for nothing. That's why you can't really name them. Because the ones that you name are the ones that all, Patagonia, environmentalism, In-N-Out, quality you can taste, Nike, competition, winning, excellence, Apple, design and intuition, and being different. So like I think if you build a personal brand and you know that and who you are, that's the hard part. You gotta know who you are. Then you can really do anything. Okay, small business, you or people who are aspiring.
Well, I think for an aspiring small business, I think it's like, if you are a small business owner, you're almost by definition an entrepreneur. And it's so funny to think about now in this state and time that Boba Guys is. You know, we had 17 stores, we have 7 reopened soon to be. And but these past month or two, we've been literally back in startup mode. It was the beginning of Boba Guys was Andrew making videos, us making videos in our kitchen, me doing the e-commerce, filling each order, writing handmade notes, and you guys have the Boba kids at home. We're putting them together, so we're back in startup mode. So I think that always goes with you in since being on the corporate side and being on the entrepreneurial startup side. Just really, if you're going to do a small business of your own, you really have to be kind of an entrepreneur. You have to get your hands dirty. And it's funny, like, I don't know, it's just like riding a bike. It's just like getting right back into it where, we had 450 employees and now we're building it all back. And so just starting back at the bottom and getting used to getting your hands dirty is that grit you're going to need.
How do you guys envision Boba Guys once this shelter in place is lifted and you can kind of go back to normal?
Yeah, I think I'll talk to it from a technology standpoint because this is Salesforce, and Andrew will probably talk to you from a social, psychological, and ethnographic standpoint. But technology-wise, I think we were so fortunate that we built this thing called Order Ahead with Square, and we were in the beta while this was all kind of unfolding. And as part of it was this idea that we needed kiosks in our stores. If anyone that's ever been to Boba Guys, you've probably suffered through our long lines. And we knew that was a big issue for us from a throughput standpoint. And so we knew that technology was supposed to fix that. And so we were literally in the middle of a year before building kiosks, which we then pivoted to building Order Ahead. And so if you look at Boba Guys today, the only way you can even order from us is through the app, the website that we built. And so you have to order completely online, and it has your credit card payment, and then that's how you pick up the orders. So post-COVID, I think that not only us, but just future restaurants in general, you're going to see a lot of shifting towards that kind of contactless. You can look at Asia right now for the answers. Anything contactless, anything that's going to reduce friction on that is inevitable, and so it will eventually shape the way that we build future stores. And so we may not need so much, sadly, communal spaces anymore, or we'll have to be able to modify as we need. And so it's forced us to kind of rethink so much of our model, and we're just fortunate that we have technology backgrounds, and so we're already thinking about the future. We just didn't know it was going to be needed so soon.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what we're looking at too, is going back to the office. We have these barista bars on the Ohana floors, and we're sort of saying, like, how do we create safe space in the beginning, going back, and how do we, because they're basically people throng around them, and they're packed, and so we're trying to figure out the same sort of things, and maybe we can because we're trying to figure out a way that people can kind of place the order without having to come up on the floor and maybe get ahead. What kind of things can customers do to be partners with you guys to support you in this time? What are the things that are helping you guys get through this time?
There's a number of things. Obviously, we launched our book, the Boba book. Sadly, we didn't get to go on a book tour yet. We were literally supposed to be on tour right now. So we're just thankful that we even got to do this live with you guys, because this was supposed to be part of our book tour, and so this is kind of a virtual way to do it, and it's great practice for us. And so if you can get the word out about the Boba book, that would help us a lot. And also, we stood up a couple of our stores. It's only order ahead and delivery only. But there's also just so many other small businesses out there that are hurting way more than we are. And so if you drive through the Mission, it'll just tell you, all these shuttered, boarded up places, including our own Mission store. And so it's really, really sad. And a lot of small businesses need the help. They need that cash flow. And so if they're still open, supporting them would be a huge. If you care about the restaurant, really trying to find a way to support them would be a big deal.
Yeah, I think basically echoing or adding to what Ben said. For those who don't know, because I get this question a lot, so I'm just going to preemptively say, for context, Boba Guys, and I was the one, because I do a lot of politics, I was the one who went to Congress 2 months ago on March 10th. And March 10th was like more than a week before everything closed down. And I remember I testified in Congress. I still get tags, everybody kind of sees the testimony I gave. And we were essentially sounding the alarm for small business. And at the time, March 10th, a lot of people said we were too early. They said, what is Boba guys, saying the sky is falling for? And here's kind of why I'm saying all that, is because I got ridiculed. It doesn't really matter about that. But what we were seeing is, and what I was telling everybody in America was, look at what was happening in Asia. Look at what was happening in other parts of the world, where they are 2 months ahead of us, and they were still shut down or getting a second wave, which we now are obviously in for some places. And they shut down physical spaces in Main Street, or their equivalent to Main Street. Imagine that happening in America. And sadly, America I just knew was not going to be as good as any other countries. We're great in innovation and creativity, but you cannot tell us what to do. We suck so bad at that. Yeah. And so we knew the quarantines were not going to work, as they are not working really, right? Well, they're working, but not in the way that other countries have. And so if that was the case, and we're not allowed to go to a restaurant, go to a movie theater, go to a nail salon, hairstylist, what does that do to America? And we literally, I said, you could watch the testimony. I said, you're basically going to break the entire backbone of the economy. This is on March 10th. Here we are. It's still broken. It's fragmented. And we're spending trillions of dollars on trying to fix it. So I'm only saying this because, we were a true small business, like small. Now we're medium-sized, really. And if there's one thing that I would tell tech audiences, especially if you guys are an amazing company, your founder, I know because him and another well-known founder got into it about tech money and what should they do to the community. And for the record, I'm with Mark. Ben and I are, I think at the end of the day, we need to remember that, I forgot that you guys don't have true kitchens because Mark was really for that. Because you have to take care of the businesses around you, because part of the reason why San Francisco, for example, is so bifurcated and polarized is because a lot of the businesses are kind of, right now, who aren't even affected, know nothing what's going on in the small business world. So if there's one, I guess, long-winded way of saying this is that there's no empathy, or not as much as we need, and we need more of that. So if you could do anything, it's just getting to know your small business owners, like really. Yeah. And tech, especially Salesforce, you guys are in a market where you guys are essentially going to take, I'm not going to say who you guys' competitors are, also in the Bay Area, you guys are the next big one, you guys are going to be there. But as you guys grow, or as you guys go to other tech companies, not saying that you should, but when you stay in the sector, you're going to still stay in contact with Main Street and never lose sight of what happened. Because if Main Street gets another virus or another pandemic or just another hiccup, you're going to see the exact same thing happen, and we're going to spend more money bailing it out. Because you can't lose restaurants, you can't lose the infrastructure. And so, so support, but really engage with the community. Once they start opening in the phase 3 in California, I would say definitely give a lot of love to the small business owners. Many of them, who about a third, are going to be closed for good.
Yeah, totally. I've already seen it. The chef who kind of gave me my start in this industry opened a restaurant last year in LA called Montauk.
Oh yeah.
And
He's pretty close.
One of the greatest chefs I've ever worked with. He's super organized. He's one of the people who always had it together. So for him to not make it through this is insane. But yeah, so I think I'm the same way. I've been trying to do things like buying merchandise from local vendors, the local record store, buying t-shirts, buying records that I don't necessarily need to buy right now, but trying to do things like that to keep them going, supporting local bookstores, things like that. We did have one last question about the Boba. I know we sort of talked about it throughout the demo, but how long can 3-day batch of Boba last in the fridge?
I would say if you keep it in the fridge, you would have to microwave it again the next day. So you can technically last a couple days, but you have to be really good at, hydrating it again. I know people want to avoid boiling boba and cooking it for an hour. That's kind of the goal. So yes, you can kind of microwave it, but you got to be really good at not adding too much water because it'll get really squishy. And do not cook it too over. If you cook it too hard and dry it out, it'll get really hard again. So it's kind of like you cook it too much and too hard, it dries out, it gets hard. You cook it too little and it hits, and the starch is not, the properties of the starch don't change. then it'll stay too hard like uncooked pasta. So there's like this really fine line between both of those two-iness steaks.
I would also not recommend if you cook too much boba, putting it in ice cream. So, I don't know if you guys have caught on to the whole boba ice cream bar trend as well, but one of our members decided that he was going to try making his own boba ice cream, and it's not the same.
Well, can I give you guys a secret? Which it's not actually boba inside those ice creams. It's mochi. So it's mochi powder that they use that tapioca to create the same effect. Because regular tapioca will get hard.
Yeah. They get harder to rock because it's full of water. That makes it turn into ice.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good we solved that mystery before.
Yeah, just only one person from our community ever do that. But I did want to, I know we're up on time here, but I did want to take this time to say thank you to, Andrew and Ben and to Chef Bill for moderating. We want to continue to see you guys succeed, and, we're so grateful for, all the great work you guys have shared, for teaching us a little bit more about Boba, as well for everyone on the calls you guys have heard. They currently have 7 stores open. They're on the way of opening more. In addition to continue to purchase items from the store, you can support them through gift cards, through the Boba book, which you can find on online retailers. And as I said, go out and support small business. There are so many businesses that are all around us. I live in the Mission now, and walking around just seeing, all the businesses shuttered. But as we slowly move into, I think as Andrew, you keep saying, the great snapback, where we're coming back into being able to open businesses and people getting the confidence to go outside again and you go eat at restaurants. Let's go support those small businesses, because they are the backbones of our communities. These are the people that help to feed us, clothe us, to help us to be creative and to allow us to be ourselves. And I would say we would not be where we are without them. So go out and do that. And again, Andrew and Ben, I do want to thank you both. I want to thank all of our viewers for joining us today. And you can get the latest updates by following them on Instagram. And I guess Andrew on TikTok as well. I don't know how that works personally. I think I might be a little bit old for TikTok as well, but whatever your handle is at TikTok.
Yeah, it's never hard.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I just wanted to say goodbye and thank you again. We all look forward to seeing you guys at the next event and enjoying our boba.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's really been an honor. It was fun. It was a little nervous about how fast this would go. So thanks for being patient. Thanks, Chef.
Thank you guys. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yes. Thanks, Melina, for helping organize everything.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you around. Bye.